That sounds really refreshing. That's a refreshing drink.
It's refreshing as hell. We were at an event for B-Mitch's like book signing last week or 2 weeks ago, and the bartender was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah, Tito soda, splash of grapefruit," and they're like, "Yeah, no problem." I was like, "Do you by chance have pink grapefruit?" And the whole bar just started clowning me.
And how did that shit feel in 2015 to win the title?
Man, it was exhausting. Like, that was my first championship ever. You know what I'm saying? So, I didn't play on a whole lot of good teams, like just growing up in general. So to kind of win it, and the way that our head coach kind of went about it, and I signed with that team for a reason. Like, it was championship or bust. Like, that was their thought process on the whole season. That was my thought process. I wanted to be a part of that puzzle, and it was crazy kind of going into it because I had got released by the Jets. I ended up being the #1 overall pick in the arena draft to Portland. So I was in Portland for that year, ball 11 interceptions. I'm like, okay, man, I need to get my bread, right? So a bunch of, pretty much every AFL team in the league called me, and they was all basically just telling me like, oh yeah, we, you're gonna be the star of our secondary, and you're gonna be doing this, and you're the leader, all this. But San Jose, who I ended up signing with, they sat me down and was just like, well, you be a piece of the puzzle, but everybody gotta do their part.
Yeah.
They sat me down, went over my film, like, look, you can get better here, you can get better there. Like, look at your feet here. Like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? They nitpicking, like, look, this was our scout report on you. Hill striker, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but we can get you better, and you can help us win the championship. I'm like, shoot, I'm in. They paid me the most too, but I'm in. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They kept it a buck with you and held you accountable, man, for sure.
Yeah, held me accountable. And it was tough, man. There was a lot of transition with that, like just the style of coaching, the changing up my entire technique that I have. I played a certain way my whole life, and I just came off a year I had 11 interceptions.
Right? Go ahead, remove that thing right there. Remove that. Remove that. Add that thing right there. Boom. There we go. There we go. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast, provided to you by 214 Media. I am your host, Maul Maul, Hen Dog Maul, Coach Maul, all that good stuff. And right now, I'm playing injured. I woke up this morning, and I don't know what the hell hit me between the minute I laid my head and the minute I woke up. But all of a sudden, my nose is running, and it don't stop. I blow my nose, Dre, about 70 times a day, and I'm surprised I haven't had a nosebleed yet. I swear to God. I don't know what's going on right now, but I guess it's that time of the year for me, and I'm going fucking.
Well, look, Jamal, I think it's something in the air. I don't know what it is about the end of March, beginning of April, where people just start getting sick. Like, that shit started happening to me last week. Like, I started feeling under the weather and body aches and everything. I knew it wasn't COVID or anything, and then like around Wednesday of last week, man, I woke up and my eye was swollen. Like, honestly, I didn't even know if I was going to have a camera on the podcast today. I was about to pull an AJ and just be raw dogging it with the regular little Abby, because my eye been swollen all weekend. It's still swollen right now, but it's going down. It's getting better.
On everything, I was about to tell y'all, if I got the sniffling too much on the show, I was about to pull an AJ, but all of us can't do it, so I may just have to say fuck it, bruh. Tough do it. I don't know, or maybe just stick the paper towel up my nose, bruh. Rock it on camera, bruh, for one episode. Y'all will understand.
Hey.
But AJ, how you feeling, bro? Everything good with you?
Yeah, man, just trying to get this stupid ass laptop to work, though.
Understood, big dog. We'll take your time, man. What's going on, Kevin? Hey, appreciate you checking in. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate it. Congestion is a bitch. It is what it is, right? So we got to deal with that. But while AJ is doing that, so we'll get through some administrative items right quick. Hopefully I don't, you know what I'm saying, start the sniffling in the process. But administrative items, first and foremost, if you are watching on Twitter, try to find your way. Link is in the bio. Try to find your way to YouTube or Twitch so you can always be a part of the show. I sniffled. There you go. So you can be a part of the show. And then obviously if you're on Twitch, remember that is a followers only chat. So make sure when you migrate to Twitch, you hit that follow button. And obviously same thing with the YouTube. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you are watching live. And whether you're watching period, just hit that like, subscribe, help us out, all that good stuff. Other things, shows. So we are at the point for us, to y'all heads up, we are moving to bi-weekly now. Just so you all know, everybody knows, this week is the Commanders show. Next week, all 32. So we will have a show every week, but we are having a bi-weekly presence between the Commanders and all 32. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. And then obviously, if there's like breaking news or emergency things and stuff like that, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we hop on that week, maybe that day, if things work out schedule-wise, to try and talk about whatever the hell is going on if there's some breaking news. If it's a Drake London night, I'm going to pop up wherever I'm at. If they select the first round, it's an emergency strain, man. We got to go live if they get Drake London, bro. For sure.
You gonna try to piss AJ off early in the show?
Well, look, hey, what's going on, focus? Look, man, AJ's already pissed off. He hit us up pissed off. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. All right, so things on the agenda today. Coaches speak. Obviously, Rivera spoke at the owners meeting today. First quotes we heard from him in some time, I would say, and then we're going to talk about some of the key things that came from his presser, and we're going to transition to the mock draft. So everybody, if you're in here, you want to be a part of the mock draft, the link is in the YouTube bio. The link is in the YouTube description. It's in the YouTube description. So what we're going to do on our side, we're all going to go ahead and do our individual mock drafts. And break down, why we took what we took in the first 2 rounds. But if we have enough time, which is why the link is in there, we're going to go ahead and do mock drafts with whoever want to be a part of the show, if we have enough time. So, yes, the link is in the YouTube. Let me go ahead and put it in the comment section right now, too, for Twitch as well. So there you go. Link is for Twitch and YouTube. Just keep that in mind. We're not doing anything right now, but save it in case you want to be a part once we knock out our mock drafts. Administrators' items are done. Let's get into the meat of the potatoes, or meat and potatoes, however the word goes. I don't know. My head is foggy right now. I've been sniffing and blowing my nose for 12 hours, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. Fellas, Ron Rivera spoke at the owners' meeting today, and I guess we'll go line by line with some key topics that he talked about and get our thoughts on things, but I think one of the biggest things, and just so we can get into the conversation itself, is to kind of discuss what's going on right now in Washington's free agency period. So I'm gonna just start off the open topic with this. Like, how do you all feel like Washington has handled free agency to this point, giving everything that's been taken into account, the releases, the signings, the acquisitions, the 2 acquisitions mainly, obviously the trade, and where they stand as at this point heading into the draft, really. I mean, the 3 weeks is passed. So I'm gonna hand it off to you all, see where your thoughts are on your overall thoughts on free agency at this point, and then we'll go ahead and get into the coaches speak.
Yeah, for me, it just appears that the Carson Wentz trade affected a lot of what they probably were going to do in free agency this offseason if they weren't, going to upgrade the quarterback position via trade. Maybe if you were going into the free agency without a quarterback, you probably sign a cheap Mitch Trubisky or something, and then you're going to draft a guy. And then maybe you're also able to add a couple of more guys. But obviously, the Carson Wentz cap hit of $28 million, that dug into their cap. As you see, they had to release a couple of guys like Eric Flowers. And another thing, I know fans are still saying that they should, sign this guy or sign that guy, but they don't really have a lot of flexibility cap wise right now. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they may have like around 10 million available right now. And that's going to have to go to draft picks and a couple of other things they'll have to take care of with that. But the key date to watch for Washington fans, as far as making any kind of roster moves outside of the draft, is going to be post June 1. Landon Collins finally comes off of the books June 1st. I think that's about $12 million in cap room you'll get for him. And obviously other teams around the league are going to release some guys, and maybe you'll get a linebacker. I mean, let's not forget, we did get Charles Leno after the draft last year. So you got a quality starter after the draft. So you don't always have to, do everything right now, and especially in the position they're in where they're kind of strapped financially. So you got to kind of look for June 1st if you want to start adding guys, outside of the draft, of course. But there's still time to upgrade a couple of the positions we need to upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, for me, man, they they have no plan to sign any top tier free agents. It's obvious already. That's what we're 2 weeks in. And the remaining names that are out there floating around, from the Bobby Wagners to Tyrann Mathieu to Odell Beckham Jr., they just don't have any intentions of spending that money. I think the Carson Wentz trade has nothing to do with that. Ron Rivera clearly said today in his presser at the owners' meeting that we're looking to get guys at good value, like at good deals. Like, bro, are you trying to add talent to this team, or are you trying to shop at Dollar General? Like, that's essentially Ron Rivera and company's approach with this free agency. Like, and how it's really been most of the time. Like, besides the William Jackson and Curtis Samuel signings, they really have been trying to get guys on bargain deals. But the whole point of entering free agency is to get overpaid. You're going to overpay for top tier talent. And if you really feel like you're close to winning as you take on a commitment of a Carson Wentz contract and trade those assets, you got to bring in talent. And it's unfortunate that the fans don't really know the approach of this front office, because it's like 1 minute they're telling you that they want certain things, but then at the same token, they're not willing to do what it takes to go get a certain type of talent. You got to trust guys are who they are. Like, it's very rare that you sign a lower tier free agent and they end up blossoming to be a superstar or elite talent. And you kind of get what you pay for. that goes in all aspects of life, not even just football. Like, in all aspects of life, you get what you pay for. And if you're looking to sign guys on cheap ass deals, expect to have cheap ass return.
But in fairness, though, AJ, I did want to respond to that and say they have had success with that. Now, this regime in specific, they've had success with those value deals. I think even more so than like the Bruce Allen era did. Bruce Allen was a bargain bin shopper, and you saw the bargains he got because you really got what you paid for in a lot of those guys. But J.D. McKissick, Logan Thomas, you got guys like that were solid contributors. Even Charles Leno in free agency, Cornelius Lucas. I mean, these are all guys they got on value deals that became solid starters here in Washington. So it hasn't been a bad approach so far for this regime.
But I mean, we're talking about signing superstars, like difference makers. Like,
they also have to want to come here.
Yeah, money talks. Like, and that's why I keep trying to like emphasize in our our episodes that we have weekly. Like, nobody's opposed to coming to Washington. Guys are signing in Jacksonville. Like, put that in perspective. Guys are signing in Jacksonville.
But do you see Jacksonville becoming a contender with all of the money they spent? Because I don't think that's the proper way to build a roster. I mean, as far as like the amount of guys they've got, to me, that says they've been drafting bad over the last couple of years, and they have to make up for the fact that they haven't been drafting well to overpay a lot of these free agents.
I mean, I can't sit here and say that Jacksonville is going to be a contender, but they also have the money to be able to spend freely because they've been missing on those draft picks. Like, you've been missing on those draft picks, so you really don't have allocation of funds tied up into a big time quarterback or a superstar cornerback, wide receiver, running back, or anything of that nature. So you could do that, but there's no reason that you can't do both. We see why Tom Brady also left New England, because they were being frugal in the free agency market, and they weren't trying to bring in talented players. They just kept trying to sign guys on bargain deals. Yeah, they were competitive within the system, but at some point that doesn't work. And what happened? Tom Brady ended up leaving. They ended up still doing what they typically do. And then they went and spent a whole bunch of money in free agency on Matthew Judon, Hunter Henry, John Smith, and Nelson Aguilar, and other guys. There's no reason that you can't do both. You can also spend in free agency, and you can also draft. It's just with Ron, man, I really don't know. I mean, we'll get more into it, but the free agency period, it's like you can't come out here and actively say that you want certain things, and then when you have a top tier player at that particular position, he's not even coming in for a visit, and that's because your numbers don't even match up with what he possibly wants or would be interested in. Like, you need a middle linebacker. Why hasn't Bobby Wagner been to Ashburn? There's no issue, and what's been put out there, he wants $11 million. You can pay him that. That changes your whole entire defensive like structure. like on the field and off the field, and you're not willing to commit to that. You rather play it cool and possibly go bring in a David Mayo or AJ Klein. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's an interesting ordeal because heading into good Lord Dakota, heading into the offseason, like you kind of knew where Washington was from a organizational / roster standpoint. Like you knew that. God help me, I'm gonna try and get through this episode, y'all. You knew that Washington was in a position where year 3 was critical, and we're going to speak on that because Ron talked about it again at the owners meeting. But year 3 was critical, so from 2 standpoints, you understand that Washington is in a position where you have to win now, and you have an area or a window to be aggressive with your money. But to Dre's point, where he started early on, when you trade for Carson Wentz, it is gonna alter your plans. So whatever plans you had prior to, you kind of altered it when you traded for Carson Wentz. You had to make some audibles. Whether or not it works out, time will tell. But you made the audibles, and the audibles included cutting some key pieces and letting some key pieces walk in. Tim Settle, Matt Ioannidis, Eric Flowers. And the word is for Eric Flowers is that it wasn't that Washington didn't want to keep him, but he outkicked his coverage in terms of what he wanted in his negotiations. So all that to say, it doesn't really matter. You picked up Andrew Norwell, so you kind of see how that works out. But even still, to AJ's point, the plan is Carson Wentz. Like, that's the plan. Bottom line, that's how I see it. And what does that mean for Washington? Rivera has talked about this on a number of occasions. He even brought it up again at the owners meeting. Get your quarterback, worry about the rest. Now, I don't know, because even before he got Carson, his pitch to everybody else around the league when he was at the combine was always about, we have the people here. Like, this team is ready to win now. And it's kind of weird, given that last year, you were trying to play it cordial. Like, man, we ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? But we put Ryan Fitzpatrick in, he can keep the ship afloat. But same roster, essentially. But he says that we're ready to win now. I think part of that is the reason why you're seeing, in terms of how they're doing in free agency at this point, is why you're seeing them re-sign their own who were pending free agents and things like that. Or you see them sign only really, I think, 2 external free agents in Norwell and the pass rusher. Like, you're not seeing much action from them because they believe the plan is Carson Wentz. And that's what they're going to go ahead and move forward with. I don't know to what degree that's the smartest plan, because clearly part of that plan, I'm sure, is the audible or adjustment where they kind of mentioned Cole Holcomb playing middle linebacker. If they had money, what's to say that they wouldn't pursue, or they felt like they had money, what's to say they wouldn't pursue another linebacker? I don't know, but I think that all of these things are lumped together because of the Carson Wentz deal. They feel like they were ready to win now. So what you see in free agency to this point is a team that's actually abiding by what they said publicly. Now, whether or not if they're right or wrong, that's another topic. But I think what we're seeing right now is a team who believes that they're ready to win now. And I think the important conversation or subtopic under if they're ready to win now is like, man, where do you rank this roster, Ron? Like, if this roster is, in your opinion, Ron, if you think your roster is top 12, all right, in your opinion. But in reality, if you were to ask people around the league, or if you were to ask people within your fan base, objective people within your fan base, where do you think this roster is? I don't think a lot of people are going to say top 12. I think they're going to see top 20 rosters, things like that. And if you think that Wentz is that over, that one person to push everything over because of what you see, the pros that you see in Carson Wentz, that is the crux of this whole thing. The plan is Carson Wentz. Everything else is following that plan, but I don't know if he's right in terms of being steady, holding steady, because you got your quarterback.
Well,
But see,
I was,
that's where the issue lies. You feel me? Because even the Carson Wentz thing, if you listen to the interview today, that wasn't even in their plan. They supposedly Ron Rivera said that they didn't even know that he was going to be available. How did you not know? But the general public did. The general public knew at the end of the season that Carson Wentz was either going to get traded or released. And if you really evaluated the position and your options, you should have known that he was either going to be released or traded. And you ended up acquiring him in trade, but you ended up taking on 28 million, but you still have flexibility to add pieces, especially top tier pieces if you want to. You just don't want to get creative. So it's like you're bringing back at this point right now, you'll have your 2022 season draft picks that'll be added to the roster, but you really haven't changed much on the team. Yeah, you added in a quarterback, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not a top 5 quarterback. He's not a top 10 quarterback. It's not gonna make your team that much different. And if you say that you want to add pieces around him and different things to help push the team to the next level because you're in a win now mode, you can't then try to be cheap on the free agency market because you have money to be able to get creative with. And if you want to bring in a top tier talent, you can ask a couple guys to restructure, whatever the case is. Like, you just don't want to do it. Like, you just simply are saying, like, hey, we'll take our chances on the bargains. And I respect what Dre said as far as McKissick and Logan, but those aren't guys that's pushing the team to the next level. Like, those aren't they can be difference makers in some situations, but they're not going to be, a superstar that changes the entire aspect of the team. And, there's nothing wrong with having both approaches of spending and free agency, but you also got to be able to hit on these draft picks.
well, AJ, I'm looking at the cap room right now. Washington has $10 million in cap space available right now. Now, to your point about Bobby Wagner earlier, that he would want 11 million. They can't afford him right now because they also still have to allot money for the draft picks as well. But going into June 1st, when you get rid of Landon Collins' contract, you'll then have in excess of $12 million more to spend. So that's why you're probably seeing them look for bargains right now, as they would probably have to release a couple of more guys just to, have space. Go ahead, Jamal.
12 million more as in 22 total, or 12 million more as in
22 total. So right now they have 10. That's before Landon Collins gets released in June 1st. So when he gets released on June 1st, you'll have 22 million in total. So again, you'll have to allot probably about 8 or 9 million of that to the draft picks that you can assign in this upcoming draft. And also to AJ's point about the not having a plan and Carson Wentz not being a plan. Now, from what Ron has said and from what I read, they had contacted the Indianapolis Colts in January and they were told Carson wasn't available. So they moved around. They called, I guess a lot more guys. But also, from what I understand, Carson was probably playing 3 or 4 after the big names. So he was their guy after you couldn't get the Russell Wilson and the Aaron Rodgers. And I'm assuming Deshaun Watson may have been on that list. I'm not sure how serious they took that. But again, he was on the list, but they were told he wasn't available at one point. So I guess that's why Ron is saying they didn't realize he would be available to them.
All right. Let's go ahead and get into the coaches speak, fellas. So, my bad, Ralph. Appreciate you checking in. So, Ralph mentioned on Twitch, I think we got to look at it like this. We can add a key piece and receiver through the draft. We can now see Cam Curl on the field. I like that point, given Landon Collins' situation. We have both these DEs, meaning defensive ends, possibly taking a big step. We can't now, but that's just me thinking optimistically. Okay, I respect that. Thinking optimistically. Realistically, what's a successful season for us with the way the rest of the league is set up? Okay. All right. So Ralph asked the question, fellas. Let's go ahead and answer that, and then we'll go ahead and get into coach's speak. Let's be quick with this one. What is a successful season? Because we kind of answered this, I believe, 2 episodes ago with our good man, David Harrison. For me, successful season is playoffs. I don't care about the win total, but you have to make the playoffs and you have to compete in your first game, meaning having a chance to win. If you sneak into the playoffs and get blown out, then clearly you had no purpose, or you serve the question mark of, is Carson Wentz that guy moving forward? You paid $28 million for that 1 year. I'm not sold that if you pull a no show in the playoffs, then he's here to come back. Like Ron Rivera said, this is his guy. He staked on him. He watched the film. He did his research. He did his homework on this guy. Everything that he's saying. Now I got question marks, right? Like, how much research did you really do? Dakota, stop. How much research did you really do? Who did you talk to in terms of
He watched some YouTube highlights. That's what he did.
Everything that's included. Like how much time did you have to do like your research on these guys, right? Before you decided to pull the trigger on Carson Wentz. But with that being said, playoffs with a competitive game and more likely than not a win. You have to kind of show face in, because if you're going to put all this investments into Carson Wentz, I don't care what y'all say about $28 million for one season. $28 million is a large investment for a guy with the amount of question marks that Carson Wentz has surrounding him, regardless of how us on the Washington side, as a collective, right? How us on the Washington side wants to, kind of negate it, because, I got my questions with Jim Irsay, but at the end of the day, question marks are question marks. And obviously AJ talked to that, and people on Twitter, social media, analysts alike all have question marks surrounding why Carson Wentz was dealt after 1 year with Indy. So that's where I'm at. Playoff win or very competitive in your playoff game. That's the bare minimum.
Yeah, I'll say that I'll agree, Jamal. They should go to the playoffs this year, and successful for it to be deemed a success. It can't be like 2020 where they're backing into the playoffs. I don't care if it's a division win or if they get a wild card, but I want it to be a convincing playoff clincher. And it's a success whether they're contended for a Super Bowl or not this year, because I believe the NFC is wide open. I think, it's pretty much anybody's game once they get to the playoffs in this conference is the way it's set up right now, because I think all of the strength right now is on the AFC. So the NFC, I believe, is a wide open conference. You get to the playoffs, then anything can happen at that point once you get there. So get there and get there convincingly. Carson, for me, personal goals, I would like him to stay healthy all year. That's one thing. And I would also like to see him take some kind of step up from what he's been doing the last couple of years between Philly and Indy. I think he had a, productive season. I guess that's the best way to describe what he did in Indianapolis last year. It wasn't, by any means a top 10 quarterback season or anything. So you want to see him kind of take a leap up on that. And that'll be a success for him. Stay healthy and build on what he did last year and possibly take the step of getting better. So those are my success goals for the team and Carson.
Yeah, for me, I think the team needs to be top 10 in offense and defense, and also make the playoffs.
I like that.
In a convincing manner. It can't be no 7-9 record or anything of that nature. It needs to be the fans seeing the product on the field, like feeling like a complete team, like both sides of the ball are competing and actually, in the top 10 within the league. Because if you miss on your first round draft pick last year, and you also don't bring in, other talent to go along with what you already have, then how can you tell me this is a win now team? How can you tell me that this is being competitive and that Wentz is really an upgrade if you don't, push to be in the top 10 of both sides of the ball, especially defensively? You haven't added anything to that defense to make us think that it's going to be any better. Of course, the draft is coming, but we're not really suspecting them to go defense first round. So, that's what a successful season looks like to me. You got to be competitive on both sides of the ball, top 10 offense, top 10 defense. And, with the top 10 offense, that should tell us if Wentz should be playing for Washington Commanders next year or not.
It's a really good point, especially with the statistical rankings, because for Washington's sake, I think the vision that Ron Rivera has for this offense and Scott Turner, what he wants to work with Carson Wentz is reflective of where they are statistically on the offensive side of the football. So, and especially defensive side of football, especially because, like you said, there's nobody really that they brought in. So it is what it is. But because the sniffles are getting on my goddamn nerves, let's transition to this coach speak, man. I'm gonna let y'all talk. Put myself back on mute. Fellas, coach speak. Rivera is at the owners meeting this week. And Brandon, appreciate you checking in. My bad. Meant to call you out on that one. Appreciate you checking in. So there was a couple things that he said, and we talked about Cole Holcomb at one point already. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Martin Mayhew's quote and go from there and see where y'all are with this one. We feel like Cole has a chance to go in there and play Mike for us. So there's no tremendous urgency to go and do something right there in terms of middle linebacker. He did a good job when he was in there, kind of grew in that position last year when he had the opportunity to play some Mike. We'll see how it plays out. Cole's an option for us. Fellas, y'all got the floor. However y'all want to take that, floor is yours. I'm back on mute.
I guess I'll go first with this. So that is one of the complaints I do have about the regime, the staff, whatever, because I feel like it took too long last year to kind of make some of these moves. As far as starting with Jamin Davis, you had Jamin Davis trying to play the Mike after John Bostic went down with his injury, and he just wasn't it at that spot. Like he's not a Mike. I mean, and it just took him way too long to recognize that. And I think Cole Holcomb was playing the other linebacker position most of the year. And then I think he did play Mike towards the end of the year. He may have played decent when he did play the Mike. But we don't know. We don't have a large sample size to say whether you're comfortable going into the 2022 season with Cole Holcomb as your starting Mike. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking that Cole Holcomb right now is probably not your plan A at Mike. Maybe you still have some options you're looking at in the draft. Maybe, like I said before in the show, you're looking at post June 1 cuts. Maybe there's a guy there. Maybe you can bring in Bobby Wagner if he's still available over in that time when you free up a little bit of cap space. But I don't think, or at least I hope, that Cole Holcomb is not plan A going into 2022, because that would be disappointing coming off the 2021 season when he just has such a short sample size of playing Mike position. And I know Cole has kind of been vocal about it towards the end of the season. He said he did want to play it. I mean, that's fine and dandy, but we just didn't see enough of it last year. And I feel like we could have got that sample size to be a little bit bigger if they would have admitted a mistake with Jamin earlier in the season. So I'm not 100% comfortable with those comments about Cole being the starting Mike going into 2022.
Did you say that Cole said he didn't want to be the Mike?
No, Cole said he did want to be the Mike. He did want to play the position. He wanted to play it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm all the way confused with what their plan is, because, I mean, it's been the same regime. Like, so Ron and company has been with Cole Holcomb for now going on 3 years, and you're telling me that you went into the 2021 draft and you took, with your 19th overall pick, Jamin Davis to be your middle linebacker, but you're now telling me Cole Holcomb is the answer going forward. Like that just doesn't make any sense. That means you literally have no clue what the fuck you're doing. Like, excuse my language, you have no clue what the fuck you're doing and what you're saying, because even in the beginning of the offseason in January, you say that you want a veteran middle linebacker, and now 2 months later that's changed. like what are we doing here? Cole Holcomb is going into his last year of his contract. If I'm Cole, I'm like, there's no way in hell that I'm about to switch my position to be the middle linebacker. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm going to my final year. This is when I'm supposed to be trying to get paid. Now I'm going to have to learn a whole new position. That makes no sense for him. Like, and he's already played the position, and he's not good at it. Like, he doesn't attack the ball. He hesitates to hit gaps. Like, he's just not a middle linebacker. That's not his strong suit. But then you also wasted the 19th overall pick last year for a middle linebacker that it's clear as day if you watch the tape that he can't take on blocks. So I'm just all over the place where I don't really understand what their goal is and what their plan is. But it just sounds like more bullshit. Like, they're just not trying to spend money. They're thinking that they can develop talent. We really haven't seen them develop talent. Honestly, it's just a bunch of contradictions just going on as far as like what's being said to the public and what they're telling us about the team. And it's really a slap in the face to now say that we wanted a veteran middle linebacker and now we're going to play Cole Holcomb there when the tape is clear as day that he's not good there. Ron Rivera even said to the media Cole Holcomb is better on the outside. Jamin
Yeah.
Davis is better on the outside. And if you wanted to experience this shit and see it even clearer, even towards the end of the season, you played David Mayo at the middle linebacker. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, it's just so confusing. Like, that's what I'm saying. You're going into this new year and you're still telling me that it's win now. Yeah, you brought in Carson Wentz, but you have not improved nothing on this roster. There's no even competition that has been brought in yet, especially on that side of the ball. And just as important as Carson Wentz is going to be to that offense, your middle linebacker is going to be the same as importance for your defense.
Yeah. I think you brought up a good point in terms of consistency. Fellas, AJ, Dre, Rockman, I appreciate you checking in. Rockman believes that Washington will find a middle linebacker in May or June. It will be more cheaper to find one at that point.
Who?
Fellas, at this point, yeah, I'm about to say, well, I mean, we'll see. But to your point, AJ, we've been talking about this all throughout the season. And for those who are new, who's been checking this out lately, and new to the show, first off, let me say this. I'm gonna get this out the way. Sometimes we get complaints that it is crazy how this happens, fellas. I don't think you all know this, but I get them sent to myself. Maybe you all get them sent to you personally as well. But people complain that there's some things that we say that's just a downer on the show. Like some things are just negative, and I'm like, at this point, you gotta understand, regardless of if you think we're negative or not, we're always gonna keep it real. I appreciate everything that everybody brings to the show, and I don't think that people need to. If you thought, put it this way, if you all thought this was gonna be a rah-rah show, this was gonna be a the team can't do no wrong and everybody else is wrong in their analysis type thing. We're going to give the team credit when it happens. We're going to give the team objective analysis regardless. So if you're tuning in new and you're new to the show, just understand that that's where we are as a show. Like this is who we are, man. We're gonna cut it straight, bro. We keep it a buck at all times, and our opinion is our opinion. It is what it is.
Well, hold up, Jamal. Let me
Yeah,
add to
and
that real quick.
I got something to add to that
Yeah.
too, because
And no, I was just gonna say, if you want raw all the time and not realistic, then they have a show that actually comes on TV. It's called Washington Football, the Washington Commanders Today. Julie Donaldson hosted. I love Julie. I love the team. I love the show. That's what they're there for. They're there for the pom poms. They work directly for the team. But we all have been fans for long time as any other fan. And we're gonna call it how we see fit. We all want the same thing. We want this team at some point to give us something or reward us for our loyalty here. And we're gonna call it realistically every time until they give us that.
yeah, I mean, if you don't want us to keep it real with you, maybe you need to find Larry Michael's phone number, text him, call him or something. Like at the end of the day, like we're gonna tell you exactly what it is. The whole point of doing the show is to be transparent and give our opinions. Our opinions doesn't mean that it's fact. It is what it is. Like we see bullshit, we're gonna call it bullshit. Like we see something good happening, we're gonna say that was good. But in all honesty, like when someone is telling you something and then they're contradicting what they're actually doing, for me, it gives me PTSD. Like I'm dating my ex. Like like I'm dating a crazy ex, like one of my Leo exes. You feel me? Like my girl can't tell me one thing and then go do the completely opposite. I'm supposed to be cool with it and rock with it and just be like, oh, don't worry, sugar. Everything will be okay. We'll figure it out. Like, nah, you're not about to slap me in my face and tell me that you ain't do that. So yeah, I haven't got any of those messages, but I pray to God that I do today, tomorrow, or down the line, because at the end of the day, man, we just gonna keep it funky. Like we're not here to bullshit people. We're not here to sugarcoat shit. Like, what do you want? What reason do we have to be optimistic? Honestly, like, can someone point us to that?
Or even put it this way, what reason do we have to be fake? Like that's not in our code. It's a reason why I got y'all on the show, bro. I told y'all that from the get-go. Is we all have our analysis. We're all smart as shit. We all have our respective areas in this field. Like AJ, you work directly with people, and it's kind of funny because people like it's. I think that people don't understand like the background that we have. Like we don't talk about it. It is what it is, but like we all have backgrounds to some degree in the area of the sport. So like why do we have to be that fan base or that fan podcast where everything positive with the team? There's podcasts out there for that. Like there literally is. If you want to listen to something where the team isn't trash, they're defended at all costs, you have podcasts out there for that. Like it's perfectly fine to stop listening to us, but we're not going to change. And guess what, fellas? When this shit blows up, like they're gonna recognize us for who the fuck we are. It is what it is, bro. So that's I had to say that point when we talked about Ron Rivera and to AJ's point, the communication part in the mixed messaging, because while it sounds like AJ is trashing Rivera, he's not. I agree with him too. Like the mixed messaging has been a problem all season. And then it goes back later to the season. It goes back to the all season of last year. Like everything goes back to mixed messaging, and that's a problem for me. AJ has noticed it. Noted it. Dre at times have noted it as well. Like it's always been a problem, and if you all aren't here to kind of recognize that part or even acknowledge that it exists, then I don't know how to help you. Like we just gonna keep talking. We're gonna keep keeping it a buck. It is what it is, bro. So yeah, if y'all got any last thoughts, y'all got it, and then we'll continue to the mixed messaging part because Ron, he has his problems, and I had something to finish on that. All right, so yeah, back to Ron. So yeah, Ron is, in terms of mixed messaging, man, he said that middle linebacker, he needed a veteran. And to AJ's point, I think that one of the things that people don't understand is things change when you add in that audible and Carson Wentz. And I'm not saying that that's okay. What I'm saying is your messaging has to remain the same. Like all of a sudden, Cole Holcomb has become that legitimate option for you. Now, while it's true that he stated, Martin Mayhew did, that he said it is an option, it's not the end all or be all. You mentioned veteran at some point. You did. And for that kind of role to kind of change all of a sudden out of nowhere. Like they said Cole Holcomb has talked about it before, but at what point did he talk about it publicly saying that he can play Mike versus Martin Mayhew and Ron Rivera considering, you know what, this may be our best option or one of our best options? Like where was that time gap and how long did that gap exist? Because one of the things that Ron said off the get-go is we need a Mike. We need a veteran Mike. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't know where you stand in terms of like the people that's listening. I don't know where you all stand with Ron Rivera in the Mike spot, the Mike position, but things have changed. He didn't say Cole. It's important to mention he didn't say Cole Holcomb was the option, was the guy, but he said that he's an option. So for them to put that out there, it's like if there's no urgency. Look, we seen what happened last year. You're going to get yourself in trouble once again at that linebacker spot, especially if you don't even have any depth. You don't even have any depth right now. So I'm just confused, fellas. I'm confused with that position as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you don't have any depth, and once again, you took with your 19th overall pick, Jamin Davis, to play middle linebacker. You picked him to solve that problem. In his post-draft commentary, you said the same exact thing. Like, you figured out that was solving your middle linebacker problem going forward. And you're right back to the same position a year later. Like, it's just contradictory of everything. Like, you have no depth. If one guy gets hurt, you're really fucked. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I can't see how we can't call him out on stupidity, because at this point it's just stupid.
So, Wilson, what's going on, Aaron? Yes, this is still being streamed on YouTube. You can check it out right now. And you'll find the show live, obviously, because we're live, right? But yes, we're still being streamed on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. But if you're on Twitter, a reminder, make sure you migrate to Twitch or YouTube so you can be a part of the comments, be a part of the chat, things like that. All right, fellas, as we transition to the off-season program and off-season workouts, Chase Young was mentioned as well. And he said the following in terms of Ron Rivera. He said, Rivera for Chase Young, 2021 season was a little bit of an awakening. a little bit of a realization. I appreciate how focused he is. He really is attacking all season. For us, hopefully, the realization we hadn't arrived has set in, and that just showing up is not good enough. So essentially, to clarify what he's saying is obviously the part that he says that Chase Young was kind of woken up, or his eyes got open based on how his 2021 performance was, but also that he just hadn't arrived yet, and showing up isn't good enough. I don't know what that means in terms of like that captaincy spot for Chase Young. He was a captain in 2021. And I'm not sitting here saying that he's going to be revoked or anything, but I think one of the things that should be noted is his performance prior to the injury, obviously, just wasn't that of that number 2 overall pick. And I want to get Dre's opinion first, because Dre mentioned on Twitter about how Chase Young, if he was to return to form, what can happen with the defense. But I want to get your opinion on this first, and talk about kind of what you said, and break down why you said what you said.
Well, first, to kind of address the whole Chase Young involuntary workouts, like last year, of note, Chase Young was the only player on the Washington roster that didn't show up for one voluntary event. Now, I never care about these things, like who shows up or who doesn't. It's never really, to me, a big deal, but it becomes a big deal when you have the season that Chase Young did. I mean, prior to his injury, Chase Young wasn't the guy you thought you were getting in that draft in 2020 last year at all. At any point before he was injured, he did not look like that player. So you're gonna have talking heads. They're gonna go back and they're gonna refer to the fact that Chase Young didn't show up for these events. So it is encouraging to hear that Ron Rivera has said that, Chase will show up. Now, he doesn't have to show up to all of them. I mean, not everyone shows up to all of these things. But as a leader and as someone who wants to show you that he's serious about returning to the player that everyone knows he can be, it would be good to start showing up to these things. You start getting on the pages with your coach, because I think that was probably the main issue with Chase Young last year in 2021. I think the main issue was communication more so than talent. I think Chase Young wanted to do something differently than the coaches wanted him to do. And that probably starts at OTAs and things when you're getting on these same pages with your coaches and everything. So it's going to be encouraging to see Chase kind of show up to these things, even though I don't know how much he could participate, being as though he's still recovering from his injury last year. As far as what I said on Twitter earlier, I said that Chase Young being the guy that you thought you were getting in 2020 when you drafted him number 2 overall, if he is that player, if he starts showing that he's that player, that alone is the biggest addition this defense can have all year. I mean, outside of middle linebacker, anything else you want to add to this defense, if Chase Young becomes the Chase Young you thought you were getting in the 2020 draft, he changes this defense significantly, because now he's disruptive. Now, coordinators are going to start game planning around Chase Young, and that's not only with Chase Young on that outside. You still have Jonathan Allen, who played at a really high level on the inside of the defensive line. Maybe Montez Sweat starts giving you more of what you possibly saw in him when you drafted him in the 2019 draft. But I think it all starts with Chase Young being the disruptor that you drafted him to be in 2020. If he starts to be that, I mean, we didn't draft Chase Young to be a role player. We didn't draft Chase Young to be an okay player. We drafted Chase Young to be a cornerstone franchise, face of the franchise type of player. So if he starts being that, like I said, that changes everything. A disruptor on the edge. You've seen what Khalil Mack, those type of guys do. The Bosa's do. They change games with their disruptive nature on the defense. Last year, Chase Young, pre-injury, a lot of the excuses was that he was getting chipped, he was getting doubled, he was getting this, that, and the third. A lot of those times he wasn't. Chase Young wasn't winning individual matchups last year, no matter what side of the ball he lined up on. And a lot of that, like I said, could be attributed to, they said, he wasn't playing within the scheme, or he was trying to freelance or do his own thing. Whatever the case may be, we need Chase Young to be on the same pages with the coaches. We need Chase Young to start winning individual battles. We need Chase Young to start being a disruptor. And like I said, the moment he starts doing that, that's the biggest addition this defense can add in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ron Rivera needs an awakening. Let let me go ahead and piss them people off some more. Yeah, Ron Rivera, he's the one that needs an awakening. I mean, now let me get back to being serious. But yeah, I mean it's cool, build that camaraderie with your teammates and be there for, the OTAs and stuff of that nature. Um, but once again, all the pieces have to be clicking in order for that pass rush to work. For Chase Young, Sweat, Payne, and Allen, it's 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 a combination of so many different things, and if you just look at the season in the games, like teams were able to get out the ball so quick because the linebackers couldn't cover. Like the linebackers could not cover. So the flats or the middle of the field was open. Uh, the secondary, they suffered because the pass rush couldn't get there because the ball was coming out so quick. So that's where it ties back into this middle linebacker position and being able to, make sure you have the proper pieces on the field that help everybody. Because no matter what, reps and OTAs that Chase attends, if he gets personal one-on-one lessons from Lawrence Taylor and Von Miller, no matter what, if they don't have no defenders to cover up the middle of the field or the flats, it's not gonna matter what any of these defensive players, abilities are and where they got drafted. Like it all ties in together. But I mean, I hope for Chase that, he makes a speedy recovery. He listens to his body and not try to rush himself back so early. And yeah, I mean, build that camaraderie with your team. At the end
But
of the day,
AJ, do you feel
able to.
like do you feel like you're letting Chase off the hook a little bit? Because I feel like every one of his you've resolved all of his responsibilities. So it's the linebackers, it's the coaches. But I haven't seen you say Chase needs to be better at anything.
I mean, I can't really say that we can properly evaluate the DNs. Um, like we can't really evaluate them due to the fact that the ball is coming out so damn quick. Like, let's keep it a buck. Week 1, Justin Herbert was getting that ball out so damn quick, and that's because nobody was defending the flats. Nobody was defending the middle of the field. It was wide open, whether it be Keenan Allen, Jared Cook, Austin Eckler, and that continued for the remainder of the season, even when Chase was healthy. Like, let's not act like Montez Sweat was out here getting 12 sacks either. So it's just like it's hard to evaluate. I understand like there's certain things that I would like to see more from Chase Young's game. Like I would like to see him, add more of a rip move, different pass rush moves, and not just think about bull rushing or getting to the edge. Like add some more like alternative moves. Like if one move gets stopped, like show something different. But it's hard for me to evaluate the DN position for Washington because the ball was coming out so quick, and the only people that could really win on that line were the D tackles. Because if you beat your guy, you're pretty much in that quarterback space. They can't really step into the pocket.
For the sake of all of us, and to prevent the sniffles, we're going to continue on with the comments and let you all do the analysis.
Hey,
Fellas,
this
the last
this
thing before.
this segment is sponsored by Zyrtec.
Hey, listen, man. Before we get to the mock draft, dog, let's go ahead and get to the last thing, man. Good Lord, there you go. Ron Rivera, last comment. He's quite tired of the reputation that the Commanders have, the Washington Commanders and the Washington football team, since he's taken over, all those things. Rivera believes that, we're an easy target, meaning, this is his quotes, I'm sorry, so let me just do it that way, quote unquote, we're an easy target, I get it, and frankly, I'm tired of it. We have to win, that's the truth of the matter, but he also continues saying, the third year is big, and I expect us to step up. And to specifically go into a little bit more, Rivera said that he wants to get, this is per John Keim, an article that he wrote. Rivera said that he wants to get away from the issues that don't involve the football aspect of it as he tries to rebuild the franchise. This is where we are today as a team. This is what we try to do as a team. I get it. People want to continue to pull you back into this. We're trying to get away from it. That's what I'm trying to stress. We have a chance to reboot. If we can stop having to every time be the focal point of football, I respect what happened over here and I understand how serious it is, but my job is about football and we're trying to create a sustainable winning culture and we're serious about it. Fellas, your overall thoughts on what you just heard in terms of being an easy target and the expectations for year 3. I'll be quick with mine and I'm going to put myself back on mute. Rivera is in a tough situation, but you knew what you got into. Like you took the job because you were going to have full control. It was a coach-centric environment. That's what you asked for. That's what you needed. That's what you wanted. That's what you didn't have in Carolina. But then also, you understood the level in which Washington was when you took the job. Like you knew that they weren't one of your average NFL teams. You knew they weren't one of the better ran organizations. The reason why they hired you is the reason why they gave you what you wanted. You have to be aware of what comes with the territory. And I, for one, am a person where Ron Rivera, at least he recognizes that we have to win, that he has to win. But he's been saying that for some time now. But at the end of the day, like if you weren't winning, you can't keep saying that we're an easy target and you're tired of it. Win. Win ball games. Look convincing when you win. And don't have these question marks that pop up in the offseason and during the games, wondering why your defense, the one that you invested in 2 years in a row in the first round, and that you thought was the focal point or the most important part of this side of the team when you signed here or when you got hired, like you can't let that side of the ball let you down. So for me, I think that part of having that reputation of the Washington Commanders of being losers and toxic organization, it is what it is. But guess what? It's up to you to change it. Like that's what you asked for. That's what you got hired for. You are here to change the culture. Don't ask people to look back. We've been dealing with this for 20, 30 years. It is what it is. So, fellas, I'm going to hand it to you. Put myself back on mute, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's right in the sense that he acknowledges what the reputation of this fan base is. I mean, or not this fan base, but the organization. He's right that this is an easy target. This organization is an easy target, and he's tired of it. That's fine. We're all tired of it. Like we've been fans for the last. I mean, I'm 36 years old. Been a fan since I was born in 1985. My first memories are around the late 80s, early 90s of the football team when they were really good. Now, growing up, they haven't been good. The last time Washington was consistently good, the last season they were consistently good, 1992. That was the last season they ended the consistency of being a contender on a yearly basis or being recognized in the NFL on a yearly basis. Since then, and I was talking about this with my son the other day. I told my son, I said, look, I can count on my hand right now how many years we've had a good season, which is sad. I went back and said 99, 05, 07, 2012, 2015, and we backed in the playoffs in 2020. Those are I can sit there and count that on basically one hand of how many seasons this franchise has been good since 1992. So we're all tired of it, but everyone gets it. This is what happens when your franchise has been, a complete dump for years. And like I said, Ron Rivera has only been here for 2 years. This will be his third year coming up. He's already sick of it, but he's catching Ron Rivera is not only catching the brunt of, just being kind of average to mediocre in his first 2 years. He's catching the brunt of the franchise being bad for 30 years, going on 30 years now. And it's weighing on them because there's pressure here. Like everyone, not only us fans wants to see this team win or wants to see this team be a good franchise. The NFL wants to see Washington be relevant again. I mean, I talked about it this past season about how a lot of the teams from the 80s are finally starting to arise again in the NFL. You got the Bengals, who their heyday was in the 80s. The Rams, they had a good stretch in the 80s. The 49ers were great in the 80s. All of these teams are starting to finally pull up and, be the forefront of the NFL again. But Washington is still where they've been at the last 30 years. So there's pressure there, and everyone kind of looks at the franchise as a laughingstock, as a joke right now. And Ron Rivera, like Jamal said, he knew that coming in here. He knew that this franchise wasn't, highly revered. And it's honestly probably one of the few jobs. I mean, I think he would have had other opportunities, but this is one of the few jobs that would have offered him a job so quick. They felt like they needed a Ron Rivera because they probably couldn't have got no one else respectable to take this position. But with that said, Ron knew the reputation coming in here of this franchise, and this is what it is. And so far in 2 years, Ron Rivera has gone. I mean, he went 7-10 his first year. I mean, we're including the playoff loss, and he went 7-10 his last year. So right now, you're sitting at 14-20 in your first 2 years of Washington. You're giving the fans everything they pretty much seen the last 20 or so years, which is average to mediocre. In a couple of years, you'll have a really bad year, and then maybe the rare year, you'll have a good year. So at this point, year 3, I agree with him as well. You have to take a leap. You have to start winning now. You have to prove, Ron Rivera, that you've started to take this franchise and take them into a different direction now. You're starting to build a winner, because we haven't really seen that with anybody here in Washington. Joe Gibbs, since 1992, is the only coach in Washington that has seen 2 playoffs in his tenure as a Washington football head coach. And even then, his tenure was mired in kind of mediocrity in his 4 years here. But Ron Rivera will have the chance to do something no other Washington coach has done in his year 3. If he was to do it, he would be able to make the playoffs in year 3, which would make 2 playoff appearances in his first 3 years. And obviously, as we all said, the success for this year has to be a convincing playoff clinching team. So if he can build that, now you start to inspire a little bit of confidence to say, okay, this is on the right path. So he has to start winning now, or else everything's off the table. You don't believe in Ron. You just look at Ron as any other coach has been here the rest of his career, and you don't believe this team is going to get off the ground with Ron. So this is a big, huge year for him to change the perception of things around here, and for him to change the perception of how a lot of fans think of him this year.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Ron also needs to take accountability himself. Like the last time he had a season of winning more than 7 games was when Carson Wentz actually looked like a real, full-time quarterback, which was 2017. Since 2017, he's won no more than 7 games in his coaching career with Carolina and Washington. Washington just added trash on top of trash. Like, at the end of the day, it's just like, bro, you also haven't brought any credibility to your coaching career, and now you're leading a team, and you keep talking about, this year we'll see it turn around, but we haven't seen your career as a head coach turn around yet, which led to you being fired, and you got brought in here and was given more responsibilities. So, I mean, I don't really think Ron knows the culture of the Washington fan base that much. Of course, he played during those years with the Bears and stuff, and he knew that they were competitive. But people here in the area, they want to see a product that gives them optimism, and they have not seen that. One year, you think your defense is balling. Now all you need is somewhat of a competent quarterback. And then you come into that year, I mean, you don't bring in the youngest person to help lead that. You bring in Fitzpatrick, and he gets injured 4 plays into the new year, but he didn't even look good in training camp or the preseason. And then your defense completely shits on themselves. They wet the bed. So now you're going into year 3 and you're providing the same product from 2021. So yeah, fans gonna be on your neck. And you didn't change the team name, which people done grew to love and have been loyal to. And it's just it's more of the same. You kind of still in the news. You still got things going on. But most importantly, the product on the field isn't a winning product. And people really don't know what to expect at this point. So I think it's both sides. At the end of the day, if you win games and you have a good product that's on the field, it changes a lot of the narratives of the team, of you as a coach, and, just helps to add more value to a lot of things. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals. a lot of people look at them as being trash or whatever, but honestly, Marvin Lewis had them boys in the playoffs on a regular basis. Like maybe they weren't out here competing for championships. They didn't reach the conference finals, but at least they were winning games. And this is a team that doesn't even spend in the free agency, like, but they were winning games, and they were still kind of like the laughing stock of the NFL. But in reality, they were being competitive. Like, and they just went to a Super Bowl, their first one since what 1988, if I'm not mistaken. They're now a team that players are inclined to want to go to. They want to play for because they feel like they have a competitive edge of being on those teams. Like you have Collins, the tackle from Dallas. He leaves Dallas Cowboys and goes and signs with the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, put that in perspective. You feel me? And he does it because they just went to a Super Bowl and they actually have a roster that's competitive. They may not have the biggest names on defense, but they got a superstar quarterback, they got a superstar wide receiver, and they got a stud running back. So it's just at the end of the day, you win games, more opportunities are going to open for you, and people can't laugh at you if you're winning.
Fellas, let's get to this goddamn mock draft. I'm dying over here, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and transition to the mock draft, ladies and gentlemen. As Kevin said, AJ sound like a Cincy fan. Look, man, you got to give respect when it's due, man. Cincy did their thing this year, bro. And this offseason has been a little bit better for them in terms of being able to acquire talent, given that they just made the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow and that boy Jamar Chase.
Man, in no way I sound like a Cincy fan. I hate Ohio. I hate the whole state of Ohio. So
the whole state of Ohio. That's a sentiment for sure. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and share this thing right here. Make sure this is Sam. Hold on 1 second. Fix the screen up for a second. All right, and then boom, there we go. And move this. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the mock draft, fellas, and everybody that's watching. So here's what we're doing. We are doing our first 2 rounds of the mock draft. I'm gonna go first so I can get mine out of the way. But how we're gonna do this is we'll start our draft. This is through the Draft Network's simulator. We're gonna pick our 2 picks for the mock draft, and then break down why we picked who we picked, and go from there. I'm gonna be quick with mine because, like I said, this show I'm getting my ass whooped. I'm not up to it, but I'd rather stop talking. So for the sake of that, I'm gonna go ahead and start mine, and then we're gonna transition to Dre and AJ so they can get their simulations out of the way and break down why they took who they took at their point. Now, for the record, too, you can, if there's some trades that you want to make, you can trade back or whatever. You got the floor. Just tell me what to do on my side. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start it, and I'm gonna knock mine out right now. And I should be clear, I am not the best mock drafter. This ain't, you know what I'm saying, I ain't used to this shit. You know what I'm saying? I barely do these things, but we're gonna see what's up. Oh, they made this easy for me. They made this easy for me, boy. They made this easy. I don't see no receiver taking. I don't see no receiver taking it all. What a receiver? What a. Matter of fact, hold on. For premium, who the fuck is a premium? I ain't trying that shit.
Now use the PFF joint. Go use the PFF mock simulator.
PFF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they got the best one, in my opinion.
Okay, I trust y'all because I never did this.
Yeah.
All right, let's do pro football.
You could Google it like
PFF.
yeah, PFF mock draft simulator. Yeah.
Oh, there
you go right there.
Oh
yeah.
Man, pro.
No bullshit.
Yeah, he the youngest dude up here.
Bro.
There you go. All right, yeah.
All right,
see,
so now what
now
I
you
do?
can pick your rounds. You can pick your rounds.
Okay.
How many rounds you
Okay.
doing? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Pick your team. Pick the team you drafting for.
Oh, pick the team. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now I
There you
enter
go.
draft. Okay. All right, here we go. Wait, what happened? Oh, start draft. Oh, hold on, wait, they going quick.
Nah, yeah.
Wait,
now you
right.
see who on the board. Now you got who on the board. You pick who you want.
We got
Stingley went number 3 in this draft. Damn.
Jameson Williams,
That's crazy.
Kobe Dean, Tyler Lunderbaum.
So you got Jamal. You the GM right now. Who you got, man? Who you like?
Come on now. Y'all know where I'm going, bro. Where my guy at?
Man, you going down the board, man. You ain't picking best player available, it look like.
You're right. So let me go ahead and trade. I got 7 offers. Hold on. I got 7 offers.
You got 7 trade offers.
How do I?
So the drop down list is the teams that's willing to trade with you. Yeah. And then you got to pick the compensation for the trade.
All right. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. Because I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Okay. 17. So you got to pick. You got to hit the 17 for them.
Hit the 17.
And if you want another pick for them, you got to pick that pick that you want from them.
But I can pick whatever, and it's not.
You can pick whatever, but you got to put something on your board too. So, like, if you giving them your number 11 pick, then you got to click your number 11 pick, and then whatever else you want from them, and they're gonna let you know the success rate of the trade.
123, and a 4th. Yeah. 123.
And you gotta go over to the commander side. You gotta pick what you want to give them.
Giving them an 11.
Okay.
And then
it said that's gonna be accepted.
I'm gonna offer.
Bam! You got your trade.
Resume draft. All right. So now where we got?
Yeah, that's where you at.
God damn.
All the receivers gone.
Hey, that's the risk when you make that trade.
Yeah.
You wanted Drake London, I already know.
You knew what I wanted, dog.
So now what you gonna do? Now what you gonna do?
Who we got, man? Who we got? Fuck.
Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams. Yeah, it's some good receivers on the board.
Jameson is hurt, bruh.
You going with Olave? You going with Olave?
Off the strength that Jameson is hurt, bro, I'm gonna go Olave, dog. Damn.
All right. Now number 47, what you got?
All right.
Oh, by the way, listeners, trying to get Olave on the show this week. Definitely trying to get him on the show this week for you guys. So
that'd be great to have Olave.
Oh yeah.
on.
Hey, look, you good. You know what I'm saying? We could always record that thing right there. We could always record that. We open to that schedule. All right, y'all said something about Chad Muma. Now, look, again, remember, everybody, I am not the mock draft guy, but I heard Dre mention Chad Muma a couple of times. So out of respect for the people on our show and their opinions, I got Chad Muma.
So that's your picks, man. You got Muma and you got Chris Olave.
Oh, I got B. Man, get out of here. I don't want that shit. Let me go ahead and screenshot this so we can go ahead. Oh, copy image. There you go. Now I'm going to download it. All right, bet. So now y'all up. Hold on. Let me go ahead and.
Yeah.
Just hit new mock draft.
I really do I feel like an old ass man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, let's go. 2-round draft. I go next.
Who we got up next? All right, bet.
I go next.
Trey up next. Let me check the comments, make sure we got some people. Well, hey, Coach. Hey, Kevin, I appreciate you, dog. You know what I'm saying? Coach Maul. Yeah. Hey, Coach, if you trade back and get a third, you should do 3 rounds instead of 2. Fair enough. I wasn't thinking about that. Do y'all want to do 3? It's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
it don't matter. Yeah, we can do 3.
Okay. Do 3. Because I may trade back depending on who's on the board.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put myself on mute while y'all talk. I'm gonna just listen to what y'all got going on.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put myself on mute.
I'm gonna go ahead and enter draft. Yeah. All right, start. All right, I know what I want to do. Go ahead and trade back to number 18 for the Saints with me.
What do you want? What do you want to give the Saints?
Go to the side. I want that first round pick, and I want their second round pick. Give me 18 and 49, and then give them that first round pick, and that's it. Off of that trade. They not interested in the trade. Why they not interested in the trade? All right, give them give them next year's round. Get him next year's round 4 trade, man. Give him next year's round 4. See if they like that. They don't like that. All right, give him next year's round 2. We'll give him next year's round 2. I want that 18. I don't want to pick what they pick. Matter of fact, yeah, give him round 2 next year. Then take the 4 off, man. Take that 4 off. They still not interested in it. All right, forget the Saints. Let's go to the Chargers. We don't 3 round. No matter of fact, all right, stay with the Saints, but take 49 off and put 98 on. Damn, man, Saints kind of dicking this. Hey, take that round 2 off for next year because they don't deserve that. All right, hold up, man. So all right, they not interested. All right, go back to the trade. Go to the Chargers then. Yeah, because they not interested in this trade. I'm not picking at 11. I don't want to pick at 11. All right. Why I keep saying they not interested? Why would they not be interested in 11 and 17?
It's probably because the need or something is already gone.
How many trades we got? 6. Go back to the drop down list. Let me see the drop down list. Hey, this is crazy.
Taking this thing serious.
Nah, because we this. I'm the GM. Hey, Jamal, go to the drop down list. Let me see who are the interested teams in it. Is right frozen?
I think he froze. Oh no, he
the drop down list.
Y'all wasn't able to see it.
Nah, I can't see who you picking for who the interested teams.
Okay, let me try. I'm gonna remove it and then I'm gonna try and let me stop and let me try it again because it was working on my side. Let me see.
Because trade down is my favorite option for this draft, man. All right, there we go.
All right, y'all able to see it?
Yeah, I can see it now.
All right, I'm going back on mute. I'm gonna drop down.
Okay. Let me see this drop down. Still ain't came up.
Drayden fucked up the whole simulator.
Yeah, like man, I want something different than what they trying. They trying to rob us.
I can communicate it, no problem.
Okay.
So I'll go in order. Teams interested in pick 11. Houston Texans pick 13. Green Bay Packers pick 22. Cowboys 24. Lions 32. Jets second round,
right.
30.
Let me get Green Bay number 22. Green Bay.
All right. So Green Bay number. Are you able to see this?
Yeah, I can see that. Give me pick 22 and see if they'll accept pick 53 as well. Pick 53. All right, off a trade.
Okay.
Boom.
Dre has accepted the Green Bay's trade offer. He moved back to the 22nd.
Yeah.
And got the 53rd overall pick. All right. So you want me to scroll up on the side to see who was taken?
I was hoping Jameson went. Oh, nah. I see Jameson Williams ain't already on there. I was going to take him. All right. Damn.
Drake London went to Minnesota. Fuck you, Minnesota.
That's crazy. They took all my players, man. What pick was Jameson? Hey, goddamn.
Jameson was. Where did Jameson? Oh yeah, Eagles.
Damn, this is a bad draft right here. Scroll down a little bit. Give me Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks right there. I'll take him. Yeah. Get him.
That boy Dre looking like Martin Mayhew.
They took all my players, man. All right, I got my wide receiver. Right here. Give me Jalen Petrie because that's my star position. That's my Landon Collins right there. That's my Landon Collins.
Jalen Petrie. All right.
Damn, they took Chad Muma. That was gonna be my player too.
I'll scroll down.
Yeah, go ahead and give me these dudes, man. I'm gonna take Trey McBride if he available.
Trey McBride. Let me search his name. I think I could do that.
Oh, here you go, right there. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, that's my draft right there. So I got my wide receiver Treylon Burks. That's your conversion.
Remember, you
guy.
got a third round because we did 3 rounds now, so you got one more.
Oh, that's right. No, we don't have a third round.
They don't have a third.
Yeah.
Great in your draft. What you got? You got a B2.
It ain't like my picks, man. I got my wide receiver, I got my star position, and I got my tight end for this roster, man.
Oh, you got an A on Jalen. Damn, Jalen saved you, bro.
Yeah, like Jalen Petrie. That trade down didn't work for me. It didn't work for me.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do. Let me check on the comments, see if we got anything in here. Oh yeah, okay, so we good. All right, let's go ahead and do a new mock draft for my boy AJ. Um, Commanders, 3 rounds, enter draft. I'm gonna go back on mute, fellas.
All right. Let me see my trade options. And go. Houston is 13. I hit the drop down bar.
If you can't see it, let me know. I can read it to you. But I hit it. I hit the drop down bar.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so with Houston, they got the 13th pick, right?
Yeah, 13th.
Let me get their 13th first round,
Okay.
and then also let me get their second round 37th overall,
37th.
and then give them my first, and then give them my let's see if they'll take the round 4 113 pick,
Oh.
and then see if they'll take, oh dang, they don't even have a third next year. See, all right, take off the 113 and take off the 37 for Texans.
AJ, you might want to see the other teams that's offering that pick because they look like they gave you better options than me.
I don't want to go too far because I don't want to lose my guy. But see if I can get the 68th pick off of Houston. Yeah, I'll do that.
Hey, there you go.
Right.
There you go. Resume draft.
All right, I'm gonna take Jameson Williams. You already know that. All right, 47. Let me see who's been picked so far. Second round. Okay.
First of all, we need to note that in this mock draft, Kenny Pickett and Desmond Ridder both went to the second round. So 2 quarterbacks went to the second round in this mock draft.
Scroll down on the players available. Keep going. All right. I'm going to go ahead, add another weapon. Let me get Christian Watson. Then third. This is my third. Go down some. Trying to see who else is available. Keep going some more. I see somebody I like, but at the same token, all right, you can go back up. You can go back up to the top. This is a tough decision, but I think I'm gonna go Brian Asamoah. I think I'm done, right? Yeah, should be done.
My boy got a D for Christian Watson. All right.
Which is wild because the niggas is thinking he's gonna go first round. So if he's there, second, I'm trying to get as much wide receiver speed I can.
Yeah. Jameson, Christian, Brian. Okay, I like the Brian joke. All right. You got a B+.
Hold on. Somebody said George Pickens at second round, best player available at 11.
George
Pickens at second round, best player available at 11.
The biggest boom or bust receiver in the draft is George Pickens. I've heard some things that he can be, if he's all in, he could possibly be the best wide receiver in his draft. But there comes a question marks with George Pickens because there's been disciplinary issues at Georgia, and there's been a couple of other things they've been worried about with him. So that's why he's not the higher prospect you see in this draft.
All right, so there we go. If you are listening or watching, we're gonna post these on Twitter, Instagram tomorrow. I ain't really worried about that shit tonight. I got other things to take care of, like my fucking nose.
Get some rest. Drink your fluids, bruh.
Bro, I'm drinking that fucking Jose Cuervo right now with some cranberry.
That shit gonna put you under that. That's gonna put you to sleep. That's what it's gonna do.
That's what I'm doing. Hold on, let me stop sharing. Let me get us back on this thing, bro. All right. Listen. That's that. I'm gonna put everything on Twitter and social media tomorrow. See who had the best mock draft. Obviously, AJ and Dre cheated. They had three rounds. I only had 2. So, but it is what it is.
We ain't cheat. You ain't think to trade.
I did try to trade.
I only picked 2 rounds. I only had 2 rounds.
But the fella, I'll put this thing up there tomorrow. Like AJ said, man, we're gonna work on a couple of guests. If things work out well, they're gonna be recorded. Unless we're fortunate to do it live, we'll see. You know, time will tell. We'll make that adjustment as time comes by. But yeah, we'll work through that. And on our side, we'll be back in 2 weeks because we're on a bi-weekly schedule now. So appreciate everybody who was watching. Appreciate everybody who's listening live, watching live, and appreciate everybody who's listening. All 32 side will be back next week. The fellas will be back in a couple of weeks. We'll catch up on all things Washington Commanders. And I'm sure next time y'all see me and hear from me, this shit ain't gonna be going on. So with that being said, I'm out of here. Fellas out of here. Y'all be safe. Enjoy y'all weekend. Enjoy y'all day. All that good stuff. Peace.
Well.
Fuck. God damn. This goddamn